Good evening, ma. Good evening, sir. How has the day been?
Good evening, ma. Fine, thank you, ma. And yours too.
Oh, fine. Thank God. Okay, so we just wait a bit to have
Thank
that.
God. Okay, ma.
So we had some accreditation activities last week. So that's why the class didn't hold. It was quite a lengthy day. So apologies for canceling the class. So we'll just wait to 8:05, then we'll start the class immediately.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, good evening. I didn't even know I was talking to myself. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I said we're looking at choice of entry mode, factors influencing choice of entry mode. And last class, we looked at market entering strategies. We looked at the remaining entry strategies. So now I want to throw a question to us this evening. So yes, there are a lot of factors influencing choice of entry mode, and we're going to look at that in today's class. But before we continue, I want to ask us that, in as much as there are a lot of factors, will your decision be based on experience, or is going to be based on proper research and market analysis, or both? So who is going to open the floor? Let me see. We have 80 with us. So 80, although I don't have your proper name. So we would love to hear your. We also have Mrs. Toyinade Poju with us. Then we also have Mrs. Grace, then Mr. Theophilus and Mr. Zile. So please, let's hear, who's going to open the floor? Let's hear from you. So who is going to open the floor? So will it be based on your experience? You want to consider choice of entry, or will it be based on research and market analysis, or both?
Sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So I said we have lots of factors influencing choice
It's
of entry.
logged me out of the class, so I'm just coming in.
Okay. Like I said, there are lots of factors that one will consider. So I said, to make your decision, will it be based on experience? Do you think experience is the best option when considering the right entry mode? Or is through research and market analysis? There is market research, or is combination of the two?
Yeah, good evening, ma. This is Theophilus speaking, yeah. So research and market analysis is very important before entry into any business, such that even if someone has experience in a particular business, they will still need to make their research before they make an entry. So it's very important to do research. Thank
Okay,
you.
so you're going for research.
Yes, please.
Okay. So any other?
Hello, good evening, Mark, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, for me, I will go with both because you might not be in a particular market before, but based on your experience, you might consider the market. And after the consideration of entering into the market, then there come for your analysis. Based on past experience, you might decide to do some analysis to consider a particular market. And even without the experience, you might also make a decision to do a feasibility study for a particular market. So I think both actually works hand in hand. And it also depends on the scope of the market and what the business is trying to achieve. So in all of it, I think both can be considered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have anyone that want to contribute?
Yeah, hello, ma. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, my name is Peter Akinwale. My comment on this mode of entry into a new market, in respect to my experience, and in respect to the type of work that I do, we deal with importations and distributions of veterinary pharmaceuticals and biologicals. And I discovered that already we met some competitors, people already on ground when we came on board, most especially when it comes to the areas of poultry vaccines. So already we have gained the market in the area of pharmaceuticals. But when it comes to the areas of the vaccines, I discovered that it was a very tight market for us to enter. So I think what I first did is to do the evaluations of the market and find out that what is actually missing and what is the thing that the customer at the grassroots, what are they looking for that presently they don't have the access to. And what I discover is that most of the competitors on ground, they deal with distribution and marketing of larger doses of vaccines. That means people that have 300, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 doses. But when we look at the market, we discover that about 70% of Nigerian farmers, they are small scale farmers, backyard poultry farming. And most of the time, it is always difficult for them to vaccinate their birds because most of the vaccines available, they are always in larger doses. And most of them usually lost their birds because of the cost of finances of getting the good of vaccine because of the costing. So when now we look at that, I have to see this is an option, this is a very good area for us to enter. And I have to discuss with my partners in abroad. And I was able to get 3 partners who are able to actually comply with us and partner with us. And they're able to get us smaller doses vaccines like 50 dose, 100 dose, 200 dose, most especially 50 and 100 dose. And that is, I can say, that is the one area that we have, it opened the market for us within less than a week, because people that have been buying 500 doses because they want to vaccinate their birds before, now they have access to the smaller doses. So it reduces the wastage and it saves them their cost. So with that one, anyone that buys smaller doses, eventually they want to buy the larger doses. Since you are picking our smaller doses, it is an opportunity for us to be able to introduce our larger doses. So I think to enter into a new market, one should be able to look at what is presently lacking, what is presently deficient in that market. And after do a due evaluations, and once you find once you divine the solutions to it, that would be a key to be able to enter into that particular market. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, so that was quite an extensive explanation in that. Okay, so in any aspect, whether the person is new to the market or not new, like the person has been engaging in foreign activities. So there's something called environmental factors. And we have both the internal and the external. We're going to look at that in the next class, internal, external, environmental factors. And the external environmental factors can also be seen as uncontrollable factors. So meaning that those are factors that are beyond your control. So many changes can occur at any time, any day. So a decision that was made that you are familiar with as of the day before can be changed overnight, that the next day is no longer effective. So generally, market research is very important, whether the person is new to the market or has been existing in that market. So it's good for continuous market research and analysis to be done or evaluated. But at the same time, experience also contributes, because the person will have a better understanding on how it works outside the home country. So it will reduce certain stress because they already know the actors, the players in that market. So experience, international experience also contributes. So that is why people have to liaise with few professionals out there, marketing organizations, to carry out their tasks. So carry out their operations. So international experience tends to contribute and makes the work easier, because you already know what to expect and how to overcome certain challenges, because if you once experienced it before. So both are mostly important factors or approaches when considering the right choice of entry mode. But research is very, very important. So now, that is for the kind of decision one tend to make. So experience and research is very important. So now, in as much as we have the experience, in as much as there's the market research, but what should one consider? So that's what we're going to look at. So we're going to look at it from two perspectives. This is just one perspective. I will add the second perspective, which is quite similar, but I will add it to the lecture slide so that we can, read it at our own free time. Okay, so now one of the most important is the target market. So understanding the market to penetrate is very, very important. The target market is very important. Some people or some analysts or scholars, they see it as, or should I say, the external factors. They look at it as one of the external factors that they have to, look into. So the target market is very important when you want to consider the right entry mode, that is the right strategy, that is entry strategy. So it's not just engaging in exporting or importing, but one must consider few things. So one of the few things that we'll consider is target market. I know we're all familiar with that, understanding the market to enter, understanding the nature of the market, the size and the geographical distribution of the customers, where the target customers are. So that is one aspect to consider. When we talk about size, we're referring to the market size. We're referring to the market size. So that is the size that we're talking about. So the market size is very important to know whether it's something that you have to put all your energy, your investment, or you should withdraw, because the return of investment might be low if you keep pushing forward. So it's very important that one should be able to understand that. So although some might want to push, which we're going to look at the end of the class, to decide whether you should keep pushing forward or not. We'll look at that. Then another aspect is the needs, requirements, and preferences of the customers, in as much as customers are widely distributed. So when I say widely distributed, you have a few customers in, I'll use Nigeria as an example. You have a few customers in Lagos, you now have another customer in Abuja, you have another customer in Port Harcourt. If you look at the logistics and distribution, you want to increase the customer base, because you have to consider the logistic costs. And when the distribution cost is becoming quite expensive, you might lose out to one's competitors. So that is what geographical distribution of customer, yes, referring to. So it's better when you are able to increase the customer base in one location, meaning that you have a lot of people within the southwest. So political region can tend to help maybe within the southwest or within a particular town, city, or state. So it's not just Lagos, you are distributing in Lagos, Oyo, Ibadan, Lagos, Oyo, Abeokuta, Ogun State, you are distributing there, so you are not just focusing on just one state in the southwest. It's the same thing for that of the southeast. They will now have the central. So those are kind of just geographical distribution that one might want to consider because of distribution cost. Then also the needs, requirements, and preferences of this customer are very, very important. Understanding what they really need. And Etsy, I didn't get your full name again, actually explained it, that understanding that the customers needed in smaller quantities and what were being distributed was in large quantity, and that was how they were able to pave way. So that is also important. That is what needs here is referring to. So needs and the preference of customers is also important. Then level of economic development of the market, and it was quite explained too. So the kind of the development of that particular market, of the product they are selling. So with that proper research, you'll be able to know whether there's need to push further or there's a way you can, disrupt your market. Market disruption too helps so that people can see things differently. So in as much as the level of economic development of that market is low, but looking at the possibility that, or you're looking at that optimistic level, you're being optimistic that if you push it, there'll be responses because there are companies that are demanding for it. They have to go outside of country, they have to do this. So looking at that, then one can disrupt the market and make them see the product differently. So most times, market disruption, market innovation is quite important. And there's a difference between disruption and innovation. I don't know if we feel they are the same. If we feel they are the same, but to me, they are different. Because market disruption is when it's still the same item that people are selling, still the same product they are familiar with, it's still the same services they are familiar with, but the person or the organization changed it entirely, that is looking new. They changed the whole concept entirely, that is looking new to the customers or to the organization. So they didn't even expect it to be seen from this perspective. They didn't expect it. So it's still the same product, but it was just changed totally from the face of the organization, or from the understanding that all these the managers have. So you change the processes. So most times the situation is like you are changing the processes. So it's looking simple, it's looking new, it's looking different, but it's still the same product. But it's just that you made it look entirely different. It's still the same product, but it's looking different in the eyes of your target market, or the eyes of your customers, or the eyes of the organization. So it's still the same product. So let me give an example now. I won't 100% give from the agribusiness, that is agricultural sector, but I'm trying to look at, I don't know, okay, what Chivita did was innovation, not disruption. What they did was innovation. That is the cap of their products. They changed the cap of their products. They just improved on it. So I'm still trying to check. I don't know if you have the company that disrupted the market from the agricultural sector. But let me use GT Bank as example. I'm going outside the agricultural sector. So I think I can get one of two examples from you. So we'll be able to have a proper understanding of disruption. So let me use GT Bank as example. So now it's not as if the banking sector has not been running. It's not as if they've not been depositing. It's not as if they've not been withdrawing money from the bank. So it's not as if they've not been doing all those ones. But they disrupted the market in the sense that, okay, you can withdraw your money, you can transfer money, but you can also use it through your phone. You don't need to come to the bank before you can transfer money. And you can open an account with 0 naira, with no naira, with no figure. You can open your account free with 0 naira, and you can keep that account running. So they changed the status quo of the market. They made it look different. They made it look simple. They made it look unique. They made it look simple. So they changed the way people see it, and that immediately improved the market immediately. That immediately improved the market immediately. So I don't know if you have an organization that actually disrupted the market, that changed the way agribusiness, do things. So they changed the norms of how companies normally sell, how they handle their product, how they sell their product, how they handle their product in the foreign market. They changed it entirely. So the process people have been selling their product, the way they've been exporting their product, they changed the status quo, the way they reach out to organization. AT, I think you're helping us to design the slide. I don't know what you're trying to do, but you are designing it enough for us. So that is for disruption. But when you talk about innovation can be radical or systematic. So meaning that you change the design, the packaging today, you made it more handy than before. Then you change the cap. So for the cap now, for what do you call it? For tea now, for their drinks. So they change the cap at first. So at first they change the cap that as soon as you turn the drink, the teeth of that cap is tearing the nylon immediately. That is an innovative idea. That is innovation. You're able to change the cap of that. So that is an innovation. Then later, you're able to change the design of the package to the essence that it is not all round square. So it has a particular shape. It has a particular shape that as they are drinking it, it is sliding immediately, and one is able to, for those that want to drink it directly to their mouth, and even if it is in a cup, they're able to, it is positioned in a way that when you are turning it, it is pouring smoothly into the cup. So they changed the design, they changed the package. So it was done systematically. At first, they've worked on the cap, then later they worked on the design. Then I'm sure in terms of the content, they later worked on it. So innovation can be gradual and can be radical. When I say radical, that means they changed everything entirely at once. They change the product entirely at once. And it might not only be related to products, it can also be related to the processes of the organization. They change the processes of organization. They change the way people see the organizations, the positioning of the product and the organization, the company as a whole. So they changed everything. They changed even up to their color. They changed their color. They're no longer using color orange. It's now color red or color yellow. They changed everything completely. So it's now looking like brand new to the customers, not to the organization, to the customer. So that is radical and systematic. So sometimes disruption can improve the economic development of a market, but depending on the strength of that organization with the ability to change that market. So target market is quite important. And another one that people one will consider, okay, here is saying that the extent to which there is access to market depends on factors such as location and needs. I've mentioned that the competitive situation. I'm also going to say that infrastructure development is quite important. Then intermediary, that is a middleman within the market, is also important. So those are the factors that one which we must consider. Then the political stability and legal barriers. So that is part of the external factors or external environment that I mentioned previously. So the political stability of that country is also important, because if that country is not stable in that decision, especially in that sector, then it can be quite risky to some businesses in case I'm going to show you, okay, it might not be this class, in case when you hear there's a ban of this product, ban of that product and the rest, and a company has already organized maybe 100 barrels, 200 barrels to be exported, it can affect such organization. So political stability is quite important. Then another one is the product. The perishability the bulkiness, the weight, the technical complexity is very important. I know we are very much familiar with that, like perishability is very important because that can, it's that the loss automatically leads to, financial loss. So it creates a financial loss because you're unable to sell such products. Then the weight and the bulkiness of the product too is very important. So that's why some organizations tend to engage in what you call what you call assembling of the product over there. That is if that particular product requires assembling, or sometimes they might decide to use the raw materials of that particular country instead of using the exact raw material here to finish the product. So, so one of the raw material can be, one of the materials, not necessarily raw materials, can be the packaging, the designs, and the rest. So they can finish it up over there to reduce the weight of exporting such products. So they will just go with the raw materials and finish it up in that other country where they want to that foreign market. So another aspect is availability of market organizations. So to those that rely on marketing organizations, so the market organizations sometimes can even strengthen a business, and they can also weaken a business. So the ability of the marketing organization to help in improving the promotional strategies of organization is also important. And not only that, also the distribution channels. So that is also important, because if that organization is running with weak distribution channels, intermediaries, it can also affect their products, it can affect sales, it can affect the level of awareness, and even the quality of the products, because they are using certain distribution channels that will contribute to the quality. So there are certain distribution channels that maybe what they sell are low quality products, or is a mixture of low quality with high quality, or so such distribution channels, such customers will not 100% trust those intermediaries product when they introduce a new product to them. It will take a longer time for them to trust their product. So one have to understand the credibility of the distribution channels that they are using. In as much as we are using the distribution channels we're referring to are like the wholesalers, they're like the retailers and the rest. But if you have wholesalers that are used to selling certain mixture of high quality and low quality, it will affect the customer's judgment. The customer's judgment will be affected because they won't know whether they should trust this new product or not. It will be quite challenging. And if they have certain intermediaries, it can be an agent, it can be a distributor that the credibility is quite weak. It will affect the organization's judgment, whether they should trust the new product or not. It requires a whole lot of conviction, a whole lot of support. That is evidence to show that this product is genuine, this product will work, this product will do. The product I'm referring to not only product, but also in terms of raw materials. Also in terms of raw materials, it will affect the quality of decisions that such organization will want to make. So credibility of intermediaries, the credibility of intermediaries also matters. In as much as their competence too is very important, but their credibility too is very important, because their credibility can also affect the quality of one's product that wants to sell out there. So another one is company's consideration. So sometimes management prejudice tend to affect when we have different conflicting decisions within the management level. We can affect the choice of entry. Then at the same time, the extent of control. So meaning that when we say extent of control, you're referring to control in the foreign market, whether it is a marketing organization that has that control over the market, or is a company that has the control over the market, or the management, that is a management contract. the professionals that have control over the market. So if not only over, so not over the market, over the product in the target market. So if they are the ones that make the decision on how the product should be sold in which market, and they make decision on how that product should be sold and how the movement of product will be like, then it will be quite challenging. So and that's why not all companies prefer to rely on marketing organizations or intermediaries. They prefer to handle it all by themselves because of the extent of control. Then another one is the internal environment. That is the internal factors. And when we say internal factors, we are referring to like the company size, then also the company's international experience. So that is what we mean by the internal institutional environment. So the company size will also determine that the choice of entry mode. If it's a big firm, then they have that capability to and do the exporting all by themselves. But if it's not a big firm, they have to pass through an indirect means if they cannot do direct exporting. So these are just a few. Okay, the last one is government policies. So as we previously said, political stability of a country is very important, and we're going to look at that during later in this during this class. We're going to look at that. The government policies tend to contribute to the choice of entry mode. So aside what we've mentioned, so I'm going to also mention 4 other factors. So they are grouped. Well, I'm going to mention 4 factors, main factors. So these factors are like the subheading. So the first one is the internal factors. So all what I've mentioned still fall under this category. So another like scholar looked at it from 4 different perspectives. So one of it is internal factors. And I've previously mentioned this. When you talk about the internal factors, you are referring to the firm size. So the size of the firm tends to affect the choice of entry. So that is one of the issues that a company might face internally. The size of the business, because the size of business can also, you can also look at it in terms of the resources of that organization. So if it's a small firm, the firm might not have that resources to do what is expected, what is expected to do in terms of exporting to another country, or should I say exporting directly to another country. So the availability of such resources might not be there. So such organization might engage in an indirect, and even if it's not engaging in an indirect indirect exporting, they might have to consider others kind of marketing strategies. So there are times that the firm size is one of the consideration for the internal factors that influences the choice of entry mode. Then another one is the international experience. Not all organizations have that international experience, so they don't even know, and because of that, they might find it difficult making the right decision on how the distribution channel should work. And because they are relying on decision of others, if any issue occurs, that challenges, if any situation occurs, quite challenging to resolve that. Instead, it might affect the growth of that company in that particular foreign market. So sometimes international experience is very important. That's why some companies prefer to send their people over there to understand the situation, understand the market, than to rely only on the marketing organization. So instead of relying on the marketing organization or marketing on certain professionals to control the environment, they prefer to send 1 or 2 employees to understand the environment and see the best way that works for them. So that is another one. Then also, there are times that the product and services also fall under internal factors. That is the characteristics of the product, which I previously mentioned, in terms of the perishability, in terms of the complexity of the product, the size, the weight, of the product. So all those ones are what you can consider as the internal factors. I know not only that, even the packaging to contribute to the product, the packaging of the product, the nature of the product also contribute to that. So all those ones are can be seen as the internal factors that affect the choice of entry mode. So we also have external factors. So that's another category which I've mentioned some. So one of the external factors here is the political environment, which is one of it. Also the social-cultural environment. So the social-cultural environment tends to differ between various countries. So the social-cultural environment, when you say social-cultural environment, you are referring to the values, you are referring to the beliefs, you are referring to the language, you are referring to educational level and certain cultural characteristics. So they differ. So it's very important that one understand such values, such beliefs. So the way they see this product might be different from the way another country will see the product. The way they use the product, the usage of the product also might differ. And only if they do not differ, it will be a positive to such organization that is moving the product to such foreign market. So most times the social cultural factors tends to be one of the external factors they have to consider. Then I've also mentioned the market size and growth. So the market size too is another aspect that one have to consider. And another aspect is the intensity of the competition. So competition is also an external factor. So what I'm doing now is that I'm grouping the factors into categories. So you have to consider it from the internal perspective. So you have to understand the internal perspective, which is coming from the organizational viewpoint. So it's coming from the organization. So what are the internal aspects that tend to affect choice of entry? So you're looking at it from the organizational point of view. So the external perspective, we're looking at it from factors outside the organization that one have to consider. So you have to consider the competition level, you have to consider the market size and growth. One have to consider the social-cultural factors, the political environment. One have to consider all these. And another aspect is also the intermediaries, the number of intermediaries, the competence of intermediaries. One will have to consider that. So all those one falls under the external factors. Then another one that we'll have to consider is what I would call the desired mode characteristics. I'll call it the desired mode characteristics. So when you say desired mode, it's not 100%, it's still part of internal, but why it's moved out is because of certain aspects. So desired mode characteristics, here looking at it in terms of the risk level. So it's what one will consider. When you say risk level, they have to consider whether they should go for exporting to be risk adverse, to reduce the risk going to a foreign market, or they should even engage in licensing, or you should be franchising, or they should just go for management contract. So that's like desired mode of the organization, and mostly it comes from the management. It comes from the management. So looking at it from that perspective, that is like under company's consideration, that is like the management capability. So if the management don't want to take that risk, then they have to determine the kind of entry that the risk level will be low. That the risk level will be quite low. So in as much as there will be a failure, but they know that yes, they learned from that experience and they can do better next time. Then another one is a degree of control, which is also part of the management consideration or company's consideration. So the degree of control too is also part of desired mode, whereby they have to understand the way the management will want to handle the market, handle the product in the market, or handle that particular market. So the control is also very, very important. So there are times that the management will be conscious on who controls that market, whether it's the organization that controls how the movement of product will be like, or is a marketing organization, that will do that, or it's through the licensing that they are engaged themselves with, or they are intermediaries. So they have to understand how the control level would be like. So that is another aspect. Then the last one is flexibility for those that have investors or shareholders. So they have to understand the flexibility level when they want to do this thing. They want to go into a foreign market. So the flexibility level is quite important, because there are some that they prefer it when that straight road is being taken than for them to move or adapt to the changes of that particular environment, because they feel that that particular risk level will be high. So there's some organizations that they are always, and they're always getting up-to-date information, and as soon as they hear one changes or the other, they quickly make the necessary changes. They quickly make the necessary, they quickly adapt to that changes or make immediate decision based on the information they've got. But because of the investors that they have on board, the flexibility level might be quite challenging. So not all investors might want to be making changes as quick as possible. And there's some investors that they prefer that as far it is helping the organization. So those are the various factors that could, influence the choice of entry mode. So having said that, there's a short exercise that I want to engage us. So to be able to see how we make our decisions or how to make certain decisions. So now there are 8 countries. Let me put it as 8 countries or 8 target markets. So now there are 8 target markets here. We have target market 1, which is high location attractiveness, high capacity, and high risk. Then you have target market 2, high location. So that target market has high location. The location is highly attractive. That's what it means. Then the capacity, you can look at that. You can also look at it from the firm capability. It's also high, and the risk is low. Then you have target market 3, high location attractiveness, low capacity, low risk. Target market 4, high location attractiveness, low capacity, high risk. Target market 5, low location attractiveness, high capacity, and high risk. Target market 6, low location attractiveness, low capacity, and high risk. Target market 7, or you can say country 7, low location attractiveness, low capacity, low risk. And 8, low location attractiveness, high capacity, and low risk. So now looking at this target market, which is various countries. So I'm using various countries as target markets, as our target markets. I'm not looking at target market in a particular country. I'm not looking at target market in a particular country. So I'm looking at target market in various countries. So now, which market do you think you want to enter, or is preferable for your organization? So which decision will you make based on this information?
I would rather advise the number 2, ma.
Okay.
High location attractiveness, high capacity, and low risk.
So why 2? Let's hear your view. Why
Okay.
2?
That high location attractiveness means that there will be tendency for that market to sell in that kind of a location. And if there is high tendency for it to sell, then if the company has the high capacity to meet the needs of the market, then there will be more profit or more income for the company. And if there is low risk also, it complements the 2 other factors that we already discussed about. That's high location attractiveness and high capacity. So if the risk is low, it will help. But if the risk is high, it may affect the market negatively. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ma. So I want to throw another question to you. Is there any alternative aside two that you want to consider?
Okay, I'll quickly go through, Ma.
So pending the time she's going through it, let's hear another opinion. So aside two, is there any other country that you want to enter?
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. I think it's dicey. But the other ones are the other ones are dicey, but I don't know. That high capacity is the factor that I'm really looking forward to in combination with one other good factor. So maybe maybe one also, because some people are risk averse and some people have high risk appetite. So if the organization has high risk appetite, then they can go for one, country one. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you very much. So who will want to go for country 7? Will anybody prefer going for country 7? Some of us are still looking at it. Will anybody want to go for country 7? So aside 1 and aside 2, is there another country that you feel is preferable?
Hello, ma.
Hello, ma.
So I think I've I first of all dropped message about country 2, and Madam Adepoju has explained
Oh,
on
we
that.
already won that.
Yes, yes. So aside country 2, I think country 3 is also considerable. Considerable in the sense that if there is high attractiveness of the product within the country, but the company or the organization currently have low capacity, their capacity can be built over time, since there is low risk in that country as well. So the attractiveness within the country can help the organization to grow over time to the capacity that is substantial enough to penetrate the market very well. So aside from number 2, I can also see that number 3 is not totally bad. And in all of it, one thing that I will first of all consider is the risk level, so that the low capacity of the company will not totally turn down to zero in the long run if there is high risk. So that's my contribution. Either 2, after 2, consider 3. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. So I think I'll talk about this again. So there is a model called BCG matrix. There's a model called BCG matrix. So we can look up on it against next class. So it's talking about the model is a quadrangle, yes. So it's divided into 4, whereby it has the dog, it has the star, it has a question mark, and it has, what is the 4th one? Dog, star, question mark. Oh, dog, star, there's a dog, there's a question mark, there's a star, and I'll get the 4th one. So meaning that an organization might have a situation whereby that business is a rising star, and another part of the market is question mark. Another part of the market is like a dog, but I'm not sure everybody want to go for dog. I think so. Then another part, let me get the last one, BCG matrix. Cow, yes, cash cow. So another one is cash cow. So meaning that particular market is, they're cashing out from that market. Well, as a result of that cashing out, they're using it to support their dog. I don't support the dog, the country that belongs to dog. But I'll explain it in next class because of time. So another market can be question mark, or I'm not sure about some countries want to go to question mark, only if that question mark has the possibility of becoming a star or cash cow or not dog. That is if the question mark has capability of moving from that position. Then star too, so meaning that it's really doing well, but the risk also is quite high. So that is where the number one comes in. There are some businesses that they fall under star. The investment is high, everything is high, but the risk is high. But the cash cow, investment is there, capability is there, but the risk is low, so they're really cashing out big time. That is where number two falls in. But at the same time, so business might want to leave it as two, while some business will want to have the whole four, have the question mark and dog. So in case anything happens in country one, country two, they know that they can, because they've been in that question mark market for a long period of time, then maybe all of a sudden government made decisions that favor them, then they are now doing well over time. So most times some organizations or managers want to look at it from that perspective, but we'll explain extensively again next class, because it's not only understanding the choice of market. Some people might want to enter multiple markets and use it as a basis, means that they have a market that is cash cow to them. And it's very important to identify a market that is cash cow, a market that is really, that the risk is low and they're really cashing out. And there's a market that is star, rising star, but it's just that the investment is, the risk is high, but they're also cashing out, but not like cash cow. Then there are some people that want to, management that want to have their market in a place called star, called question mark, and also in a place called W. The probability, as one of us said, that they're going to improve over time with the expectation that they will improve. So they must see that potential. It's just that they have to wait for maybe 5 years or 6 years or 10 years. It depends on the number of years they have to wait for that business to become better, or for that market to be well known, or the capacity of the organization to increase over time. So we'll talk about it extensively next class. So that will also help in decision making, especially choice of entry mode. So there are certain countries that the choice might look very low, but what about the potential level in the next 5 to 6 years? So it's better they are already, planting their seed by creating awareness till when that time comes. So it can be seen from that perspective. So mixture of all these entry mode and involvement sometimes can help an organization, or sometimes might not help the organization, depending on their capacity and them engaging in such investment. So some people just want to go for a cash cow company, a big country, where they can earn the money and nothing will happen to them. Some people might want to go for rising star, right? And they will leave question mark and dog. So I will try to explain that again next class before we look into market segmentation. So I don't know if you have any question to ask or any contribution. This is 9 o'clock before we call it a class.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, ma. Can I go ahead, please?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Okay, please. I just want you to try and expatiate, because do you think there will be some organizations, or for high risk markets, some people, so for high risk countries, do you think we won't have some people who would still want to dare going into such countries, believing that maybe
I'm with you.
okay, believing that maybe peradventure they will be able to like scale through? No, it's a risk. They may not fall victim of the risk at the end of the day. It's just a possibility. So I don't know, because I know that there are some people who would want to dare going into that. Can you please, ma, expatiate on that? Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you very much. So that This particular decision will be possible for someone that they already have multiple target markets. But someone that is just entering the market for the first time will not want to take that kind of risk. That is if the person, you know, as we said, market experience, international experience, and market research is important when making such decisions. But someone that already has entered, already have a market that is cash cow, and person has seen potential of another market, but the risk is high, and still want to go for it, that person can go for it to see it. Because they know that even if there's a fallout, they still have their cash cow country. They still have their cash cow country. You understand? The cash cow can be more than two. It's not necessarily one cash cow country. So they can have more than two cash cow, but because they know that that country has a potential, but just that the risk is high, but they are seeing that potential there. So they want to try it out. So it's someone that already have the experience and has done the proper research that can go into such high risk country, but not someone that is just entry there, that has been there for, that just have 1 or 2 years experience, and it requires, if there's any form of loss, it might be a very big impact on that one, because the person is here to get a stable ground on even the country that that person calls a cash cow. So most times, having a cash cow or having a country that they are stable, which is like cash cow, is very important. So where that they're not having issues, they are exporting smoothly, they are receiving demand easily, they're not having custom issues because they already overcome all that. So they want to move to another market, and they see that that market risk is high, but they are doing this thing. But the potential too is high. So they can now dare entering that market. That's because they already have a market that they are doing well and they are earning that money. They are earning it, they are doing well and they are getting it. So that is when it's possible for such organization or such person. I don't know
Okay,
if
ma.
that answers.
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma. That's very true, ma. Thank you, ma.
Yes, ma'am. So do you have any question, any contribution?
Hello, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think in line with the question of Madam Adepoju, I think what, if I may put this as a question or a contribution, what would be the role of detailed risk analysis? Because normally, when you identify a risk, you don't just end it there. We've learned that risk can actually be positive or negative. So what if the company were able to do a kind of risk analysis and put in place a management or a planning level to mitigate the level of impact to annex the detailed opportunity that the risk might actually bring forth?
Okay, you're looking at the role of detailed risk analysis, right? So, although there's no organization, or I believe, to enter such foreign market, there have to be such risk analysis, whether the risk is high or the risk is low. There have to be such, and there are some organizations that will not rush into making decisions, and there are some that will rush looking at the should I say political environment, the stability level of this political environment. So there are some organizations that will just wait for a few months, it might not be up to a year, to see whether there will be changes or not. But one just have to be careful, because it's not when one has entered the market that the changes will now take place. So although it's normal that one have to engage in a risk analysis, but that will determine, that risk analysis will let the management know whether the risk level is high or is low. But the timing is also quite important, when to penetrate or to take action. So that is like the most important decision that can be quite challenging for most management. The timing, whether the timing is right to take action or not. So that is where environmental monitoring is all about, comes in. So they have to keep monitoring the environment to ensure that they don't enter the market and it's now the next day that a decision will be made. So environmental monitoring, I think we're going to look at that. So I will include environmental monitoring into the slide. So environmental monitoring is quite important because you have to always monitor the environment, check what is going on daily basis, and know whether this decision has potential to be changed or not. One can make such forecasts, whether the decision has that potential to be changed or not. So although detailing risk analysis is normal, which an organization must meant to make, and they're meant to engage themselves, but timing to enter the market is also very important.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so there's a group has been created, and I'm going to share the lecture slide, the lecture note. But there's an assignment, I think is in one of the slides. I will identify it towards in the group. There's a case study attached to that slide, and there's an assignment included, an assignment question. So there's an assignment in that slide. So I want us to take the case study. I will take up the assignment from the slide, and the deadline will be passed across to us. I will send, when I send the lecture note, I'll let us know the deadline. The deadline is not next week though. It's not next week. So I'll pass the deadline information to us so that we can work towards it and ensure we meet up. So for if we have colleagues that are not on the group platform, you can also add them or tell them to join the group. So the platform is for this class. So if you have any question or anything, you can throw it on that class. You can send it to that platform and we'll respond from there. Okay, so in the absence of none, I want to say thank you very much for taking time out to, attend a class. Now, some of us did not attend. I can't see Farmer Lawrence or so. Olivia has changed his name, and one other, I can't remember. I don't know the names offhand. So in case you communicate with each other, you can let them know that I asked of them. They did not attend to this class. They didn't attend to this class. Farmer Lawrence, I didn't see him, so they can also, join the class, next class. So thank you very much and have a great evening.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you, ma. You too, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma.